Evening, my name is Nicholas Lamar Suter, and this is Overtime. Tonight, November 9th, we are learning that apparently the Senate believes they have a way to end the shutdown without the use of the filibuster. The Senate Majority Leader has said that he will not bring a bill to the floor unless he is sure it will pass. The Senate has convened and is now preparing to vote, according to Senate Majority Leader John Thune. Now, it's what they're calling a minibus. It's several different measures. It looks like one short-term funding measure and three long-term funding measures. This bill would reopen the government, which is now been closed for 40 days, a record that was previously held by the Trump administration as well in his first term. They could only do this by getting a number of Democrats to agree. The Democratic caucus has not flipped. The Democratic caucus as a whole is demanding that they will not negotiate and will not go along with a bill that does not address the subsidies for the Affordable Care Act. Having said that, they have been able to peel off a number of Democrats sufficient to pass this minibus set of bills that should fund the government. The Democrats that they believe will flip are Jeanine Shaheen from New Hampshire, Maggie Hassan, also from New Hampshire, Jackie Rosen of Nevada, Tammy Baldwin of Wisconsin, Mark Kelly of Arizona, Jon Ossoff of Georgia, Gary Peters of Michigan, and Dick Durbin of Illinois. These Democrats, they believe, will flip, giving them sufficient votes to pass in the Senate. It goes back to the House after that. This bill is expected to pass and to go through reconciliation. Whether in that reconciliation they're combined into one or not, I don't know. My concern with the three votes is, or three separate bills, four really, is that Trump might veto one and allow the others, having this deal fall apart. So I assume that they are dependent on each other. So what are these bills? There are a lot of drawbacks to this. So yes, it looks like it's going to be funded. It's going to be funded with a very small handful of Democrats, slightly more than the minimum needed to pass it, will presumably vote for it. It does not do anything for the Affordable Care Act except agree to hold a vote on it. Democrats say that this is unacceptable. Quote, I am unwilling to accept a vague promise of a vote at some indeterminate time on some undefined measure that extends health care tax credits. That's according to Senator Blumenthal. Having said that, again, over concerns of what the shutdown is doing to their districts, and having gotten enough that they felt that they could vote for this measure, a number of Democrats have agreed to flip. So the first bill, which is the principal funding bill, will fund the government fully through January of next year. January, for those of you who do not know, is the first month of the year and is only about 2 months away. So this funding measure, which has not yet been voted on, it looks like they're holding votes now. It's going to have to be 3 votes, then it's reconciliation. We may be days away from this, but Thune is confident this will pass. So it's a deal that's been made. It has not yet gotten through Congress. This would fund the government fully through January 2026. This means we will literally have this crisis again in January, minus some exceptions from the other bills that I will get into in a second. That is probably one of the reasons that the Democrats are willing to do it. They're not giving up a huge amount of their bargaining power if they want to deal with the Affordable Care Act, if they feel like they haven't gotten the votes that they wanted on the Affordable Care Act. Don't worry, the government will have at least a partial shutdown in January once again. So this is basically a 2.5-month funding bill. The other three bills fully fund parts of the government for a year. We have not seen which parts they're talking about. If I had to guess, the TSA, for example, would be one of them. ICE is already fully funded, so if you are interested in totalitarian Gestapo police regime, you can rest assured ICE will continue to remain funded, but there are other elements that are included in the three bills. Again, right now we're just guessing, but those elements will fund a small portion of the government for an entire year, meaning a year from now, those will be up for review. The vast majority of the government will be funded by the main bill, which goes through January, and then isolated elements that are considered essential that have not been funded. Again, I would assume TSA, for example, will be funded for a year. If TSA ends up not being on one of those three, don't quote me on that. Again, I haven't seen it, but we know that those three separate bills fund three separate elements of government for an entire year. And by doing this, a fully funded government through January, it's 2.5 months of funding, and three separate programs, for lack of a better word, or bureaus, we don't know what, fully funded for a year. Another concession that has been made to Democrats is the rehiring of anybody that Trump has fired during their furlough in this shutdown. Anybody fired during the shutdown gets their job back. I foresee a problem with this, which is that while it is my belief that Congress probably can do that, at least offer them that back, and I don't see any real reason to contest it, Trump has been arguing unitary executives since the beginning. I don't know whether Trump's going to object or not, but Trump can just go right ahead and fire them all again. If he will or won't, I don't know. But it's an interesting assertion of power to say, well, Trump, using the concept of a unitary executive, has just fired all of these people, but in order to get you to agree to a short-term fully funded bill and then a partial funding for a year, we'll hire them all back. I don't know how that works, and I don't know if Trump's going to make a big deal about that or not, but that would seem to be, well, again, in my interpretation, they have that authority. I don't think Trump had the authority to fire them in the first place. Nobody stopped him, so he's going to do what he wants. That appears to be one of the big elements in getting a number of Democrats over, has been the restoration of jobs and the fact that essentials will be funded through these three smaller bills in the minibus, and that the entire government will be reopened. Also keep in mind that presumably, if this is done rapidly, which they are trying to do, the hope, my understanding, is to have it done by Monday. The Senate's holding a session now on voting on the minibus. If it passes, it has to go back to, it goes to reconciliation, and then from there, it's going to go to, yes, thank you. I'm not going to see. We can see the Senate right now on C-SPAN. I don't know. I'm going to check. I don't think they're. Just, yeah, they're okay. So they're doing each of them. They're getting their 10 minutes, and then. Yeah. I can get Thune in for a second. So why don't we listen to Thune? I want to make this quick. I know everyone has things they want to do, but it's big news if the government opens. Like I said, we haven't seen much about the package yet, so we really just don't know what's going to be kept open.
So you want to be a software engineer? Go to boot.dev, make a free account, write some code.
On SNAP for the entire fiscal year. They will fund.
Ooh, SNAP will be funded for the entire, fiscal year. Okay, so that's January.
We must return to regular order, advance a clean CR and these 3 appropriation bills, and then consider further appropriations and these issues so that many
Okay, so the clean CR is a continuing resolution to fund the government fully through January, and then 3 separate appropriation bills.
Many of us care so deeply about. Our constituents and our nation depend upon us to do so. Mr. President, I note the absence of a quorum.
Ms. Alsobrooks.
Everybody in the world think that makes sense. And if this...
So this is Bernie Sanders. Let's hear what he's got to say about this real quick.
Majority Leader.
President, I ask unanimous consent the quorum call be suspended.
Without objection.
And I ask unanimous consent that the following senators be allowed to speak for up to 5 minutes each. Senator Collins, Senator Schumer, Senator Sanders, and me.
Without objection.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Mr. President.
Senator from Maine.
Mr. President, today the Senate Appropriations Committee advanced legislation to reopen government immediately, funding vital programs and resuming pay for federal workers who, for the last 40 days, have had to live with the stress of missed paychecks and not knowing when they would be paid. Under our legislation, all federal employees, including members of our military and Coast Guard, the Capitol Police officers, Border Patrol agents, TSA screeners, air traffic controllers, all will receive their back wages. It is significant that this measure also includes 3 full-year, fiscal year 2026 appropriations bills, including the annual agriculture FDA bill, the military construction and Veterans Affairs legislation.
Okay, so the VA is going to be funded for a year. It sounds like USDA is going to be funded for a year, which may include SNAP.
Timely, given that Veterans Day will soon be upon us, and the legislative branch funding. This 3-bill package.
And Congress will be funded for a year. So when the government shuts down on January, don't worry, your senator and congressman will still be getting paid. Oh, I'll bet they voted for that one. Why did I not see that coming? Us not getting paid? Oh, no, we don't need air traffic controllers, but yeah, I need a job. Oh, I'm in the wrong business. I need to be a congressman. What the hell am I doing here? It looks like, okay, so House Resolution 531, ayes have it. They've closed on one of them. Again, it's 4 bills. One's a continuing resolution, funds the government completely through January, so that's only a reprieve. The other 3 fund elements of the government, including, it looks like, the USDA. Now, they set up a part of the USDA, so I'm not convinced that the entire USDA is funded. If the entire USDA is funded, then that would mean SNAP benefits are funded for a year. That's huge. That's huge, and that may well be that's probably how and why they got some Democrats to break. If they're funding SNAP benefits for a year fully, yeah, That may be what's it. And again, the legislative branch's needs will be met for a year. It's all right. Congress is going to be okay. They're going to be okay. They're going to eat. Hear what Sanders says. I'm going to check the live chat, and then we're going to get going because we don't have a lot. It looks like this is going to pass. We'll do a rundown, but it looks like this is going to pass. There's been some arguing on the floor of the Senate, from what I can tell, and a number of Democrats are quite upset. But
Which originally passed the Senate.
again, I think it's the funding of the SNAP that and again, anybody who's been laid off by Trump, anybody who has either been fired or furloughed into being fired, can have their job back according to the bills that they are passing. I'm curious if Trump's going to veto that. He's got enough of an ego. He may be like, you can't hire these people back. We'll see. He's got no line items. So
On August 1st, with overwhelming bipartisan support, 87 votes in 2 cases, 81 in another, will support our veterans, our troops, our farmers, and rural communities. Of note, this package will provide full-year funding for the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, known as SNAP, and the Special Supplemental Nutrition Program for women, infants, and children, known as WIC. One of the most unfortunate and shameful consequences of the shutdown has been
Americans are going to see at least a doubling in their premiums in the Affordable Care Act. In my state of Vermont and throughout this country, for certain groups of people, it will be a tripling and a quadrupling of their premiums. There are people who will now be paying 50% of their limited incomes for health care. Does anybody in the world think that makes sense? And if this resolution is passed tonight, we are on a pathway to throw 15 million Americans off of Medicaid and the Affordable Care Act. 15 million. Our job is to create universal health care. Guarantee health care to every man, woman, and child, not throw 15 million people off the health care they have, low income and working class people. And
so they are voting. I just want to hear some of the senators. So to anyone just joining us, and let me quickly check the live chat. We'll do a rundown and then we'll call it because we're not going to stick around just for the vote. All right. So what do we have? The Senate Majority Leader Thune has said today that he believes he has the votes to pass a funding bill. Now, there's a number of issues with the funding bill, and we are starting to learn how he put it together in such a way that he can pass it. He doesn't need all Democrats to support it. He doesn't need the caucus to support it. He needs to just peel off any number of Democrats. It looks like he's got 2, 4, 6, 8 Democrats who are going to vote for this bill. So the question is, how do he get them to vote for it? This bill does not directly address the Democrats' primary concern, which was that the Affordable Care Act subsidies are expiring. This will cause roughly 15, I'm not sure if it's as high as 15 million, that's what Sanders said, but I think it's between 8 and 15 million. It's a significant number of people will go off of health insurance because they can no longer afford it without the subsidies. So it was a cornerstone of the Democratic opposition to any funding that this was not being extended into any new funding bill. So how did Thune manage to peel off a number of Democrats? Well, it looks like what they're going to do is a full funding bill through January. So that's really only yeah, from now, it's 2.5, 3 months. So, thank you, Dorito. So that was quick. The votes are going to only be about 5 minutes. They got to vote on 4 bills. Once they pass, it still has to go to the House. It needs to be reconciled with the House. The House will probably just take the Senate version, vote on it, and be done, which means this could easily be done by tomorrow. If the House convenes, I don't know if the House is ready now or not. The Senate's been sticking around just for this reason. But until reconciliation, which it's up to the House how long that takes, it's not going to take long. So this will probably be done. See, I don't even know if the House is around. If they have enough for a quorum in the House, this could be done tonight. If not, it'll be done tomorrow, unless the House has some very specific objection to some element of this bill. So the first part of the bill is the continuing resolution. It funds the government through January. This is in some ways a win for Democrats because it means the arguments that they would like to have about the Affordable Care Act, they can go right back to having then. They've also been promised a vote on those subsidies, a clean vote on continuing the subsidies now. Open enrollment is now, so it's a bit late for that kind of vote. And Blumenthal pointed out he doesn't believe that just because they say they're going to do the vote, that it's A, going to be the vote that he wants, and B, that they're actually going to do it. Nonetheless, that is part of this deal. And 3 separate funding bills to fund smaller parts of the government. The first part is at least part of the Agriculture Department. I don't know if it's the entire Agriculture Department or part of it. The reason that's important is that's actually the department that provides SNAP benefits. From listening to them on C-SPAN, it sounds like it's the entire Agriculture Department, or at least the SNAP benefits will be funded for a year. So even when the government comes back to a grinding halt in January, SNAP benefits, it appears, will continue because it is a separate resolution that they're voting on. Also a separate resolution that they're voting on. What was the second? Oh, yes, Veteran Affairs will also continue to be funded. So if when the government shuts down again in January, which is not that long away, Veterans Affairs will receive a separate funding bill and will continue to be funded regardless. And the last one is the legislative body. The legislature will continue to be funded. Not even the executive branch, just the legislative branch will continue to be funded for a year, so they can keep their secretaries there. People mention that congressmen still get paid during the shutdown, which is true, but their secretaries, their staff often do not. So this will empower them to keep their staff around after the next shutdown. So that is it. 4 separate bills. The bulk of the largest one is it's the smallest one, but the most impactful is a continuing resolution to fund the government at the current rate that it's been funded up until about 40 days ago, up through January. And that would also include back pay and the ability to rehire anybody that Trump fired during the furlough process. So we're going to go back through all this again, minus those 3 bills. All 3 bills have to pass. Sorry, 4 bills. All 4 have to pass. They then go to the House. The House has to vote on them and pass, or go through reconciliation where the House says, well, we disagree with this, and this. I doubt the House will. Well, that's a good question. Johnson probably wants to do that because I don't think Johnson wants to reopen, because as soon as he reopens, the first matter of business that he's going to have to do is swear in the congresswoman who's going to be the last vote on the discharge petition for the Epstein papers. So I don't know what he's going to do. My suspicion is he's aware it's done. What he's going to they're going to have their vote on this particular version of the bill. They're not going to do any kind of reconciliation. They're just going to take this bill and be funded through January. So that's what we are looking at. If it works out that way, then come Monday morning, the U.S. government may be open at its fully funded levels. The subsidies will have expired, meaning an increase in 50 to 75% for some people, and for some people even more, my understanding of over doubling of the actual cost of health care, pricing many people out of the market. SNAP benefits will resume. I think that's probably how they got the Democrats over. The ones they got, and they believe me, a lot of Democrats are upset about this. We will see what happens to the Democratic caucus, whether or not it can hold together after this. I think a number of Democrats feel betrayed. We already know that Bernie Sanders has made it crystal clear that until they fix the Affordable Care Act subsidies, they don't get his vote, and he is very strongly against this compromise. It's only a few Democrats. Anyways, that's it. That's where we stand. The likelihood is tomorrow we will be open. Right now, all we have is 4 bills currently being voted on. It looks like at least 2 have passed. It takes usually they give the senators, unless there's an up or down, and they're not doing that, I think. So it's just going to be, they're going to, senators have 5 minutes to push a button at their table, and then they tally up all the buttons. So this will be done in the Senate within the next 20, 30 minutes. It then goes to the House, and as soon as the House can convene and do it, the government will reopen. So that is where we stand. Thank you very much for joining us. Our own Titan Uranus is going to be on Bad Science Sunday. And for those of you who have wanted to hear those deep baritone voice, I think they managed to Dr. Tapioca Weasel's birthday today, so I think they're gonna have on Titan to I don't know if he put on the Marilyn Monroe dress or not. That was my request. So we're gonna the shoes, get that taken care of. Anyways, thank you all for joining us. Our next scheduled program is Tuesday night, 9 p.m. It's In Time with 𝐒𝐨𝐮𝐭𝐭𝐞𝐫. Thank you all, and we will see you tomorrow or the next day. Good night.